And certainly for me as a Jew, I can never get rid of the stain that Jewish people have committed a genocide.
It's murderous, it's cruel, but it's just been cranked up to the kind of ghastly spectacle that we see now.
People see a genocide going on and they don't want it in their name. You know, that's what their t-shirts say, not in my name, and they speak out, and they speak out as Jews. I was born in the Bronx in America. I was born into a Zionist family, but I didn't know what Zionism was. In fact, I never knew what Zionism was until I was much older.
The family background is Russian Jewish, and both my parents were in the Communist Party and pretty active at the time. So there were no Jewish events celebrated. It was a non-religious background.
I was brought up in a Jewish household. We went to synagogue on a Saturday, Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. Those were all things that were, I suppose, calendar markers, as well as the things that you actually do that made me really understand that I was in a Jewish family.
You only knew that Israel was great and that Israel was part of America, really, and I call it like another state because it's just very much a part of everybody's Jewish life in America growing up. You just love Israel, there's no question about it.
The steps from being a child, really, that grew up to understand that Israel was a place of safety for Jewish people, a guard against the Holocaust. The Holocaust featured very largely in my childhood, to where I now understand and know that Israel doesn't make Jewish people safe and that it isn't actually part of the Judaism that I understand.
My grandfather was a cultural socialist Zionist and was very keen on really spreading socialism from Russia to the new land. He wasn't interested in an Israeli state. The word homeland probably seems more appropriate.
In 1982, I walked out of synagogue. It was Jewish New Year, and Sabra and Shatila, which was a slaughter that happened in refugee camps in Lebanon, had just happened. And I heard all the things around me from people I go to synagogue with, and they were very supportive of a slaughter.
Just going to Palestine will change you forever. Even though you know things, when you see it firsthand, it's just life-changing. And we heard people talking where they were trying to take their homes away. When I came back, I was much more active.
So for many years, he chaired the Hebrew Language Committee in Palestine, and every week they met and invented new words for things like umbrella and telephone.
Then the second time I went was with a solidarity choir. Things had changed so dramatically. Things were the same, but so much worse. And this was well before, October 7th. It had already changed, and now it's changed that much more.
There is now a genocide happening against Palestinian people. But what does that mean if I'm not going to stand with people in solidarity with them, combating a genocide, especially if that genocide's being carried out in the name of people against whom a genocide was carried out 70 years ago.
It's a genocide, it's murderous, it's cruel, and it's continuing something that started probably in the 1930s in Palestine at the time, but it's just been cranked up to the kind of ghastly spectacle that we see now. Sometimes we just can't bear to see what's going on because it's so cruel and nasty, particularly involving children, the death of children and such like.
To see a genocide, to see it on social media, to see it not on conventional news, but on all the alternative news channels, how the population thinks it's okay, how soldiers glorify what they're doing. It's just horrendous. And every day I think Israel can't get any worse. Just the inhumanity of Israel just shocks me.
We have a rally outside the train station every Friday. It's different to things we do on a Saturday where it might be a march or a boycott action. It's much more of a celebration of being supportive of Palestine.
Most of my family were just English working class. So, in a way I valued that.
Recently I went to the West Bank and I went to Massif Yatta. When I was there, somebody was shot. A Palestinian man was shot. I stayed with some Bedouin people who are under daily attack from settlers.
October 7th turned me into a Jew again, because I just thought it is so important to speak out as a Jewish person, to show that there are lots of us that don't agree with what's going on, and just because you're Jewish doesn't mean you're going to support Israel. It's just unbelievable what's going on.
The amount of land Palestinian people have has shrunk massively, but they refuse to leave. They cannot understand, and will never understand, that attachment to the land.
I've always been very interested in the Jewish people in Europe. Unfortunately, many of whom were wiped out in the Holocaust. But I think one of the things that people like me is finding out more about that Jewish radical tradition. They're not all screaming fanatical Zionists wagging their fingers at you.
A settler would be up against my fence, for example, if I was Palestinian, and they'd be just there with their sheep and their guns, and it's extremely threatening. So to be able to stay on your land under that sort of pressure is absolutely incredible.
Multiple people are dying every day, children are dying every day, and we cannot just sit in our houses. We have to do whatever we can. The people in Palestine need to know that there are people all over the world that are on their side and that are marching and speaking and doing everything they can. If they want peace, they have to treat people with dignity and change things.